Hello everybody, Mobius1 here, bringing you the start of a new series. The series probably won't be that long, maybe a couple episodes, of a very mature, I guess you would say. I mean, not just kind of ignore the "fuck the war" written there on the title page. Indie game called This War of Mine. Now, when this game first came out, I saw it and I was kind of like, it was an interesting concept, but I didn't know if I wanted to get it, and I ended up buying it and sitting on it for a really long time before I actually decided to play it. And over holiday break, I decided to play it, and I was immediately addicted to it. I've already played through this game twice, which I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't record my initial reaction to everything in this game. But, you know, as many things as I like to record and share with you guys, I need to have some games that I just kind of play by myself when I can. So I thought I didn't know that this was going to be so good, otherwise I would have recorded it. So I'm actually gonna interrupt. I'm in the middle of a playthrough right now, but I'm gonna interrupt it to start a new one to share with you guys. Now, I kind of already know what's going on, but basically here's the gist of the game for those of you that have never heard of this game before. So it is a war game, hence the word war in the title, but it's different than other war games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, whatever. You don't play as a soldier, you play as a group of civilians that are trying to survive in a war-torn city that's basically a war zone. So it's more about surviving and keeping yourself sane and trying to stay warm while, I don't know, picture like DayZ without the zombies, or like The Walking Dead without the zombies. It's really cool, and you really have to make some difficult emotional or moral choices that can have some pretty big consequences down the road, so it's interesting. Alright, so I'm going to do another try, and what's neat here is when the first time you play this game, you do not get to choose your starting party, but after you complete the game the first time, you can actually choose what characters you want to start with. So every character in the game has like a skill that they're good at, but some of them also have like negative things or like addictions. So, for example, like somebody might be a smoker, and if they're a smoker, that means you have to worry about having cigarettes for that character. Somebody might be an alcoholic, so if they don't get their drink, every couple nights, then they can become a real asshole. So yeah, it's cool that there's that. So we get to choose the starting group. I just want to ask, I am live streaming this, so I'll let stream kind of help dictate this. How do we want to play this, guys? Do we want to play like the morally righteous, where we, are doing our best to survive, but we won't like rob other people? Or do we want to play the more fun but also more emotionally painful, we're bandits and we're just going to rob and steal everything that we can to live? I'm going to be honest, I've tried both sides. As you can see, I've survived. I've gone through 2 playthroughs, like I said. And while the bandit way of things is fun at first, to just like start robbing people blind, the game becomes way too easy. Like once you have a weapon and ammo and like you have more food than you know what to do with, the game is just like, okay, like it becomes very monotonous. Like wake up, everybody gets to eat food, you go out and steal a bunch of stuff, you come back and you feel fine. It's playing as the morally righteous is actually creates a more interesting game, because you can't just go and take whatever you want. So I think playing that way actually makes the game more challenging. Play as the girl and be very evil. Bandits, mix a little of both. Alright, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we agree to start off trying to do things nicely, but if the time ever comes where we're like desperate for food, then we might cross the line, alright? Alright. So you actually get to do multiple people. So this group's got 4 people. 3, 3, 3. This one only has 2 people in the group. Alright, I want to do one of the ones that I haven't done before. So let's do Bruno, Roman, and Erica. I know Bruno, because I play with Bruno on both of these. Bruno is like a cook, so he makes food, I think, like faster. Roman, I believe, is a combat character. And Erica, I'm not sure. But let's go with this one. Alright, and the music in this game is amazing. Like, it sets the tone perfectly. So let's set a goal for this video. We'll play through like the first 7 days, and then we'll stop. Okay. Surrounded in the capital by the government military, the rebels refused to surrender. Caught in the middle of the fighting with no running water or phones, struggling with lack of food and medications are the civilians. In a civil war, everyone is affected one way or another. Roman used to fight for the rebels, that's this guy, but he became disillusioned and ran away. Erica came to the capital fleeing persecutions of her hometown. Bruno has been cut off by the siege from his home and his dearest friend. Homeless, on the run, and with nothing to lose but their lives, they band together to survive. Okay. Welcome to our home. So there's a lot of stuff to take in here. A lot of different like icons and buttons and stuff to click on, which like the first time you play can be very overwhelming. So basically, you control all 3 characters. Now there's a couple different ways to switch between them. You can see right now I am controlling Bruno. And you can see this character here has kind of got a little highlight pulsing. This is Bruno. Whenever you have a character selected, wherever you click, they go there. And what I didn't know like until my second playthrough is if you double click, they run. So you can actually tell somebody to go somewhere a lot quicker by double clicking. Switching characters, you can either click on them on the screen, you can click on their card in the bottom right, or you can press tab to cycle between them. I find tab to be easier. Alright, the icons. These hand icons are like looting. So if I double click on this, she's going to run over and look through this dresser. And we found some stuff. So we got parts. Various mechanical parts used for building and fixing complex devices. Sugar. There'd be no moonshine without sugar, essential for the fermentation process. Clean water, some relatively clean water. You'll need it to prepare a good meal or make alcohol. Weapon parts, various weapon parts, blades, barrels, springs, locks, and so on. And electric parts, some electric parts. They will come in handy if we want to introduce, advanced improvements to our shelter. Alright, so we'll have her go through and loot as much as we can. Oh, right. We got raw food. It's edible, but would be much more nutritious when cooked. We got herbs, various herbs that can be used to make herbal medications, and roll-up cigarettes. A lockpick is single use, but opens locks quickly and quietly. And some more stuff that we already know. I'm not going to read the stuff after I've looted it once. We'll have her go down this ladder and loot this pile. Alright, we got components. Various components you need to make just about anything. Nails, duct tape, plastic containers, scraps, things like that. Lots of this stuff. And wood. An essential component for all kinds of stuff. Plus we can chop it to fuel stoves and heaters. Alright, can we go through here? We can. Okay, so these piles are a little different. It looks like a little dirt mound. These piles actually block your path. So it takes a very long time to clear these piles away, but you'll see, like, as she works on this, she'll get a little word bubble here. I could really use a shovel. So if you had a shovel, you could go through these a lot quicker. But while she's working on that, we'll switch to another character. We'll actually switch to a few of them. We'll have Bruno go through this pile, and he finds more parts and wood. We have Roman here is pulling a barricade off this door, which just lets us walk through here. Interesting thing about these barricades is you can only pull them off from the door from the side that they're on, which obviously that makes sense, but it's very important to know that, especially when we go out scavenging, that if there's a barricaded door, you can only go through it one way until you remove the barricade. So we'll have Roman do that. We'll have Bruno come up here. Parts, sugar, and wood. Alright, we got barricade down here. I don't want to use my lockpick on any of the doors in our house. We're going to use that when we go out at night. So, alright, in the top left here, we can see it's day 1. There's a little clock here, which shows you how much time we have until the end of the first day. And a thermometer here, which is shows you how warm it is in the house. We are using Celsius. You could switch it to Fahrenheit, but I feel like since this game obviously takes place in some European country, or maybe Russia, we'll stick with Celsius. Does your shelter get attacked? Yes, it does. Alright, Erica's through the first pile. We'll have her go through the second. Bruno's about 3/4 of the way through his. We also have a workbench here. This is like how you do your crafting and stuff. We'll get to that in a bit. I just want to clear as much of the house as we can right now. Every character also has a bio. So, alright, so Bruno is a smoker. It says, before the war, I used to own a restaurant. I even had my own TV show, Bruno's Cuisine. I'm sure you've seen it. I visited beautiful places where I was filmed cooking exquisite dishes. All that seems of no importance now, don't you think? Nowadays, you're lucky if you get your hands on some canned meat or a bag of rice, and who knows how long this war is going to last. That is another interesting thing about this game, is every playthrough, you don't know how many days you have to survive. Like, the game doesn't tell you, okay, you have to survive 50 days, or you have to survive 60 days. Like, you don't know. Just like you wouldn't if this was, real. So you don't know how long you have to ration your supplies to last, which adds a very interesting element to the game. Alright, so Bruno's got more of a bunch of stuff that we've already got. Alright, we'll send Bruno down to the crafting bench. Because, like I said before, I don't want to waste a lockpick on any of these doors. Once we can make a crowbar that we can use to pry doors open. The difference between the crowbar and the lockpick is the sound that it makes. Obviously, if you're trying to break into somebody's house and you're using a crowbar, it's going to make a lot more noise than a lockpick. So there's no real reason to use a lockpick on the stuff in our own house. Alright, so we're running out of time. Every day ends at 8 p.m. Alright, let's have Bruno just look at what we can make. Alright, so what should I make? We can make a bed, we can make a chair, we can make a simple heater, we can make a radio, we can make a crude stove, a moonshine still, a metal workshop, a rainwater collector, a filter, and then this is all fuel. So there's 3 different methods of making fuel. You can either burn books, you can burn wood, or you can burn parts. Yeah. Most of the time we're going to burn wood, because wood and parts are used for just about everything. Like if we look at the bed, we can make a bed now. It'll take 6 parts and 8 wood. We have 30 parts and 25 wood, so we can make a couple beds. Unfortunately, it takes an hour to make, and we have less than an hour left in the day, so I don't want to start this yet. Chair, we don't really need. Simple heater, we'll need eventually. A radio is good. It says it would be great to listen to current news and weather forecasts. We could be better prepared to deal with hardships if we knew about them well in advance. When there's nothing on the news, we can listen to music and brighten our mood. So the radio is actually pretty helpful. We will probably make this first thing in the beginning of the next day. 7 parts and 2 electrical pieces. The rainwater collector, also very important. All this stuff is important, but we'll have to wait until the next day to make it. Alright. So we're not really doing anything else. We can click this button here, End Day. That just brings it to the end of the day. And now we have to plan our night. So somebody in stream asked, does your little headquarters or house or whatever get attacked? It does, but it's a random chance, basically, during the night. So what you can do is we have to assign our 3 characters here tasks that they do throughout the night. So let's see. Roman is trained in combat, Erica sneaks quietly, and Bruno is a good cook. Well, the cook is probably not going to go out at night. However, we will leave him guard the outpost. So basically, if you have guards, if you have people guarding, it helps prevent attacks from happening, but they'll be tired the next morning, obviously, because they were up all night. We have also sleep and sleep in bed are 2 different options. Since we don't have any beds, we can't choose that. So if we do choose sleep, they're going to be sleeping on the floor, which not very comfortable. Alright, so we'll have Bruno guard. The question now is, do we have the guy who's trained in combat go out, or do we have the girl who sneaks quietly go out? Another question, can you get more people in your group later in the game? Yes, you can. I believe you can have up to 5 at a time. Combat or stealth? Combat. We don't really have any weapons. So, trained in combat, he'd just be using his fist. I think we should go with the stealth chick. And then we'll have Roman guard, and we'll have Bruno sleep. At least until we get weapons. And then the question is, where do we want to go? So here's our shelter. We have 3 choices right now, and we'll have more choices as the game progresses. But right now we have to choose, do we want to go to the shelled cottage? It says, this neighborhood recently got shelled, and many houses are still burning. People were fleeing for their lives in a hurry, so we may find some useful stuff there without meeting anyone. And the cool thing is it'll actually tell you what stuff you can expect to find there. So there should be some food, huge amounts of materials, lots of meds, huge amounts of weapons, and lots of parts. The semi-detached house, half of it is a ruin, but there are people living in the other half. They don't seem friendly. At night, you can sometimes hear shots fired from there. We could probably scour the abandoned part for supplies if we manage to sneak past the inhabited part. Huge amounts of food, lots of meds, huge amounts of weapons, huge amounts of parts, and danger. So this is cool because it'll actually tell you if you can expect to have to fight. And if it says danger, you're definitely going to have to fight. Decrepit squat. It has been inhabited by the homeless since long before the war. They've always been struggling with lack of food and might not have survived the recent shortages. There shouldn't be a threat, and we can find some useful things there. Huge amounts of materials, lots of weapons, lots of parts. So we kind of have to decide ahead of time, what do we even want? Like, what are we going scavenging for? And I think we need to find some food first, right? Like, the only food that we found in our shelter was that 1 piece of raw meat. That's not going to feed 3 people. That's not going to feed 1 person. So, some food. Unfortunately, the only place that has huge amounts of food is, of course, the place that's dangerous. So, what do you think? What do you think, stream? Should we go for the danger? Should we risk it and try to get food on the first night? Or should we go a day without eating and go somewhere else? Something else I will say, that there is trading in this game as well. So sometimes when you go out, you'll find other people that are willing to trade with you. And every couple of days, a wandering trader will come to your shelter and offer stuff to trade as well. So even if we don't necessarily need, like, materials, we could go scavenging for materials and hope that the trader comes the next day, and then we could trade the materials for food. So that there is that way to do it. Go a day without food. Alright, so I think we should go to the shelled cottage then and try to get weapons and meds, because this has huge amounts of weapons. So let's go there. Let's see if we can find some weapons. Alright, so this is, you actually get to choose what you want to take with you. Now, inventory space is very limited in this game. So you can see this character only has 10 inventory slots. So if we want to bring stuff to potentially trade, we can. Like, we can bring food, we could bring water, and then if we run into somebody, we could potentially trade them our food and water. But that takes up inventory slots. So, same thing, like, I can bring a lockpick, but if I end up not needing to use this lockpick, that's one inventory slot that I could have used to scavenge something else, to bring something back with us. So, since this is our first night out, I think I'm going to go out empty, and then if we find something that we need a lockpick for, we can come back at a later day. Like, you can always revisit places, too. So I think we'll go empty, see what's there, and then come back later if we need to. Alright, the house is still burning. Is it safe to go inside? Alright, so we got some things to scavenge outside first. We'll see what we get. Alright, see this little red circle here? Lots of parts and wood. This red circle here is noise. That represents a sound that we hear. We don't know what it is, but there's something making noise right there. It could be a person. It could be anything. It could be a rat, like a wild animal. It could be a window, like an open window that's flapping in the wind, but obviously this one's moving. Oh, there it goes. It was a rat. Okay. Now, you do have to be careful because other characters can hear you, which is why it's cool that this girl sneaks quietly, so she makes less noise when she's moving. Holy crap, Batman, that's a lot of parts and wood. So we can fill our inventory, basically, with parts and wood. And that's it. We could go back now if we wanted to, because our inventory is full, but we might as well look inside and see what else is here. So the little eyeball lets you peer through the keyhole and see what's inside. That was the rat, right? The rat went back up there? I think we're alright to go in. You want to close doors behind you also so that people don't see that you've been there. We'll check the fridge. There should be food in the fridge. Oh, there is. Okay. So we're going to leave some of this stuff behind. Take the 4 raw meat. Take the vegetables. 10 water is a lot of water to pass up. We'll take 10 water. I don't really need sugar. No one in our party is an alcoholic, I don't think. We forgot to look at the other people's bios. Can we look at hers? Alright, great. She's a smoker. It says, Erica, I'm a simple girl from the hood, and I know life. Street raised me more than my father did. That old sot beat me whenever he felt like it and knew how to make it hurt. That's all over now. He bit the dust in the first days of the war. I've been a cat burglar since I turned 14. You know how it is. I'm better at it than anyone, and anyone you know, and I can sneak like a fox. You'd be a fool kicking me out. Alright, let's keep checking stuff here. It doesn't look like anyone's here except for that rat. Sugar and herbs. Okay. Bandages and medications. So the bandages used to dress wounds. Medications, their taste is terrible, but they can save your life in sickness. We kind of need to take both of them, because we don't have any. But I really liked the fact that we had so many supplies. Alright. I'm good with that. Let's go upstairs. These are herbal meds, simple medications based on herbs. Sometimes they help, sometimes they don't. Still, they're better than nothing. So we don't really want to take these because we have actual meds, so there's no point to take those. I think this door is locked. Yeah, it's locked, so we can't go in there. If we had brought that lockpick, we could go through that door. Let's check the basement. You'll notice I really like the field of view thing that this game does, too. So, like, you can only see through paths that you can actually see. Alright, so there's a pile of rubble blocking this cabinet here. We could let her dig through this, or we could just come back later with a shovel. I mean, we might as well let her go. Because we still have a lot of time left. So you'll notice as she's digging, you see this, like, bubble that pops up around her? That is how much noise she's making. So if there were any characters in this, you know, roughly this area, they would hear her digging through this pile of rubble. Unfortunately, there's really no way to speed this up. Alright, so you can check your backpack. You can run to the exit. Basically, you need to make it to the exit of whatever, like, scene you're in before time runs out. Otherwise, you get what's called trapped in the day. Now, if you're trapped in the day, first of all, the character is not guaranteed to make it back to your shelter. It's possible that they die because during the day, there's, you know, fighting going on outside. So you always want to make sure you make it out of the... Oh, it's locked. Okay, that was a waste. You always want to try and make it back before time runs out, just to guarantee that your character actually makes it. We'll dig through this one. That looks like a dead soldier. We might get a weapon from this guy. That would be really good. Can you scavenge with 2 people? No, unfortunately not. You can only ever have 1 person scavenging at a time. And as far as I know, there's no way to increase your inventory size, like your backpack size, though different characters can carry different amounts of loot. So I did, in one of my playthroughs, I had somebody who had a backpack that could hold 15 items. Unfortunately, he was not very good at sneaking, and he was not trained in combat, so sending him on your loot mission was like a real big risk. You're like, oh man, 15 pieces of loot, like, that's so much loot compared to the 10 that this person has. But he had no skills that, you know, benefited looting. Alright, let's see. Is it a weapon? No. Damn. Alright, so we have homegrown tobacco. Homegrown tobacco for making roll-up cigarettes. Not nearly as good as the real thing, but we can grow it ourselves. We have a roll-up cigarette. We have a quality roll-up. Fertilizer. Parts. A book. A good book is uplifting. The more we have, the better. If times are hard, we can make them into fuel for our heater or stove. Problem I have here is nothing here stacks with anything in my inventory already. I guess we can give up some parts. 2 fertilizer is kind of hard to pass. So fertilizer, organic waste that we can use as fertilizer in our garden to grow herbs or vegetables, or as bait in a trap for small animals. I think we're going to take the 2 fertilizer to use as bait, because that means we can get food later on. The only question now, like, it's not worth making an inventory. Like, I don't want to leave behind 2 pieces of wood for 1 roll-up cigarette. The 3 electrical parts is tempting. Yeah, alright, let's leave behind 2 pieces of wood for 3 electrical parts. And I think this is what we're going to go with. The reason I'm keeping the vegetables, it says we can eat them as is, but they make much better meal when cooked with some raw food. So if you cook 1 raw food, you get 1 cooked meal. If you cook 1 raw food with 1 vegetables, you get 2 meals out of the 1 piece of food. So this basically makes a whole nother meal. Yeah, alright, we're just gonna go with that. And then we're gonna leave. Alright, Erica is back.